Hey, it's Christopher here with another episode of What's Brewing, and today I'm talking about the battery on the new Canon R5C. But before we talk about this, let's roll that beautiful B-roll. Hey everyone, it's Christopher, and I purchased the Canon R5C. Now, I attempted to pre-order this back in the spring, and my order was canceled a bunch of times, so I ended up going with the Canon C70. Now, this camera is in addition to the Canon Rs, the R5s, and the Canon C70s that we currently have, and so we wanted to see what all the excitement is about. Now, one of the first things that I found out is that folks were kind of concerned about the battery life of this. So the first thing that I want to do is talk about the battery life and really what you should be expecting. So there's plenty of videos out there that have actually done some battery testing. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about the most optimal settings to get the most out of your battery. So let me put that on the screen here. If you're recording with XF AVC YCC 422 10-bit, the main resolution is going to be 3840 by 2160, and it's going to be the frame rate of 23.98. That's going to get you roughly 45 minutes of battery life. Now, if you do like 120 frames per second, or if you're doing 8K, you're going to end up, or you want 8K RAW, which I'll talk about in a minute as well. Those things are going to really reduce the battery life and get it to around the 30-minute mark. So if you're recording at a basic 4K, you'll get an honest 45 minutes out of the battery. Now, let's talk about that. Canon is using their LP series battery, and recently when they released the R series, and I noticed they have this little special marking here on some of them. This is not the battery, but I've got one that has it, a little gold metallic look and feel. They're meant to be more optimal batteries, but at the end of the day, this is that LP E6N battery that you'll find in most of Canon's mirrorless and DSLR line. Now, if you slap this into your R5C, that's going to get you that 45 minutes of battery life. Now, the biggest concern for folks is, well, hey, but that's not really great. My Canon R5, it can go a lot longer. Well, perception-wise, maybe it can, but as you may or may not know, the recording limitation on the R and the R5 and some of the R lineup, with the exception of the new R6 Mark II, which doesn't have that same kind of inhibited recording time. All the rest of the current lineup prior to this month was going to be limited to that 28 to 30 minutes of time. So if you are recording straight with this battery, you'll find that the battery life is not good, but it's not going to go the distance in comparison to, say, the cinema lineup. Now, I've got the Canon C70, which uses the BPA30 battery, which is this battery right here. Now, let's take a look at these sort of side by side. When you compare them, right, little honest review here, these are, of course, not the same size, right? And I'll put up some B-roll of them while we're talking. This battery life, the BP-A30, is going to get you about 2.5 hours. Again, various times will differ based on the settings you've got in your Canon C70, but this is going to get you about 2.5 hours of record time. But the LP series battery is a third of the size, so 45 minutes, prospectively, isn't too bad when you consider it's a third of the size, but it gets a pretty decent battery life. So things are kind of on par here with the performance, right? Now, if you upgrade up to the BPA60 battery, right, we'll compare that to the A30, see that there's a pretty substantial size difference, about twice the size. And of course, the LP series battery compared to the BP series battery, I mean, it's just so much smaller compared to it, right? When we look at these kind of side by side, this is gigantic. Now, this is going to get you around 4 to 4.5 hours of record time. So, and I'll have some B-roll here kind of showing off the two next to each other. So the first thing that we really need to talk about is settings. The second thing we need to talk about is the battery size. There's not that much issue with these batteries because when you look at them perspective to the capacity in respect to the size, 45 minutes isn't bad. In fact, it's pretty good considering this is a cinema camera, and you do get the cinema camera settings on the R5C just like you would with the C70. So what do you do? Well, there's a couple options here. One, if you are using the LP batteries with your DSLR or your existing mirrorless, you have these and you can just swap them out. Now, what I've aimed for, and is going to be my standard, and I've noticed from a lot of the videos that I'm watching on YouTube, is a lot of content creators who are using the Canon R5C have bought Canon's extended battery pack here. Basically, you take the door off of the bottom of your R or your R5 or any of the R series, in this case the R5C, and you go ahead and you put this in. Now, what this allows you to do is put 2 LP batteries inside of here, right? And they just kind of tuck right in and you slot load it. And now you'll get 1 hour and 15 minutes of record time. Basically doubling the LP battery life by putting in 2 batteries gets you an honest hour and 15 of recording. So if you are doing some kind of highly mobile run and gun shooting, this is a great camera. Now, I've done a comparison on the R5, the R5C, and the C70. You can check out that video in the link in the description below. I might have it up here in the top as well. But this is a really awesome camera because you get all those great cinema settings, and it's really, really, really good. The big addition to this is the fact that you can shoot 8K RAW. I do want to call out the R5 can do 8K RAW with the Ninja Animus V+. So you can get that 8K RAW with an external monitor, but we are able to do it natively. The caveat is you have to do some kind of power. Now that you're either going to do that through some kind of DTAP and battery replacement here, so you're getting your power directly there, or you can use, and this is how I've done it, the built-in USB-C for charging, which all of the R cameras or the R5 cameras here have that. So you could do some kind of a V-mount battery or just any really external battery source can power this. And when you've got that, then 1, it will be charging these batteries when it's plugged in. 2, you're going to get that longer battery life. And 3, you're going to be able to shoot 8K RAW once you've got that. I need to do another video on how I rig up these for like a V-mount and just get a really nice compact shot. And call out to, I think, DSLR Shooters or DSLR. I'll put the channel here, but they've got a great video on how I built out my kit, and I might make a video and just, of course, credit them on how I'm able to do a really great mobile, fairly light rig so that I can get the battery here. Now, I want to make this video to kind of talk about this. For me, 1 hour and 15 minutes is more than enough time of shooting, and it's very easy to swap out batteries. And so if you bring 4 LP batteries, you're going to get roughly 2.5 hours or so of shooting, which is the same thing as this BP battery would in a C70. Now, it's up for debate whether or not you want to do a C70 versus an R5C. That's really your decision. But I did want to talk about the battery issue and really more set the expectation, talk about what the optimal settings are, and some alternatives here that you can use, like the Canon battery extender or some kind of external battery source, which that kind of gets where it's a little cumbersome. I'm always trying to go as light as possible with these cameras when I am shooting. Anyway, I hope that helps. There's a lot of information out there and a lot of buzz going out about this, but I think there's no real battery issue. But if you want to try to address the fact that you only have a certain amount of minutes with this battery, then I like this battery extender. I'll put a link for it for you to find this on Amazon and on Canon's site directly. Anyway, if you thought this content was useful, do me a favor, hit that like button. If you like what you're seeing and want to see more of it, crush the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with everything we're producing. As always, we hope you're doing well, we hope you're staying safe, and we'll see you in the next one.